Last time I went to Washington, D.C., a beautiful city, it cost me about $1,000 to stay for 4 days. Now, I get that I'm a little bit cheap. I'm going to look for deals sometimes. The government doesn't really have that when it travels. Certainly not Prime Minister Trudeau on his state visit to Washington, D.C. Surely you remember this. It was the talk of the town. Canadians were so excited about finally, after 20 years, a state dinner in Canada's honor in Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Trudeau went. Barack Obama hosted. Lots of laughs were had. Ryan Reynolds was there. And, well, who wouldn't want to go to a party with the dreamy Ryan Reynolds, right? And 44 Canadians went. 44 people were in the Canadian delegation, including a number of Trudeau's top advisors, including cabinet ministers, their staffers, including even his in-laws. Because who doesn't want to bring your mother and father-in-law on a business trip, right? Well, save that for another show. So this trip happened, and Prime Minister Trudeau promised Canadians it cost $25,000. He said, you know, we're still factoring some of the costs, but the total cost of the trip for all 44 people, $25,000. Now, as a Canadian who values fiscal responsibility, when I heard that, I was actually a little bit pleased. I'm like, you know what? If he can take 44 people across the border and spend only $25,000, that's not that bad. Except the actual price tag is a little bit more than that. Numbers released this week because of an order paper request in the House of Commons from an NDP member of Parliament, Pierre-Luc Dassault from Sherbrooke, forced the government to give an actual detailed accounting of how much it cost per person and who was actually on the trip. And that $25,000 estimate is dwarfed by the actual total. Not $5,000 more, not $10,000 more. How about double, triple? Not even close. The actual price tag, 10 times what Prime Minister Trudeau promised. More than that, actually. $257,000 and change. $257,000 is what it cost to bring all 44 of these people to D.C. And by the way, some accommodations weren't even paid for. So that's just on meals and some air travel, and of course including the $44,000 government jet that brought the bulk, but not all of the people on the trip, to the actual convention. Now, one thing that's interesting to note here is that the cost of that Challenger jet that the Department of Defense charters for trips like this, which is normal, the Prime Minister can't travel on WestJet after all, is about $11,000 an hour to run. $11,000 an hour to run. Now, in these documents, the Department of Defense confirmed that this is in fact the price tag, and Washington, D.C. is 4.2 hours away. 4.2 hours away. So the flight alone was $46,620. So Trudeau's estimate couldn't even pay for the flight. Couldn't even pay for half of the flight, basically, let alone all of the other costs, like meals, like hotels for some of the people that couldn't stay in the official American residences. And Canadians are supposed to just think, okay, maybe there was a rounding error. Maybe there was a miscalculation. Or maybe the Prime Minister lied or has no ability to do what is fundamental arithmetic to everyone who heard that $25,000 number. And when we look at these numbers, $7,000 and change went to Ralph Goodale for him and two staffers to go. There was also $7,660 for Minister Navdeep Bains and two of his staffers. So just from those two ministers and their team alone, we already would have eaten up about 2/3 of the estimate that Trudeau made. So where did his number come from? Because it certainly didn't come from any of the books that the government had available. And he just hoped Canadians wouldn't notice. For TheRebel.media, I'm Andrew Lawton.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of The Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.